I can show you in 10 minutes how to take control of sales and use taxes for your business. Sound impossible? My name's Hoffman, or better known as the Sales Tax Lady. Valuable experience makes an expert, but we also want to work with someone who has walked in our shoes, right? J.M. Brennan, commercial mechanical contractor, was one of my first accounting positions over 20 years ago, and they have been one of my first clients that I continue to work with in my sales tax business today. I spent 14 years working in various industries and accounting roles before I earned my bachelor's degree in accounting. That's when I went to work for the Wisconsin Department of Revenue as a tax auditor. After completing my master's degree in accounting, I was promoted to the Office of Technical Services and head of the Department Speakers Bureau. I was responsible for issuing tax treatment rulings, writing published guidance, and implementing tax laws. For 8 years, I traveled the state, training tax professionals, associations, and businesses about sales tax law. In 2019, I founded Sales Tax Advisory Network to work directly on behalf of businesses to advise people exactly how to comply with the tax law and who to trust for tax advice, something I wasn't able to do as an employee of the Department of Revenue, and frankly, an area I saw a majority of businesses struggling with, both large and small. Sales and use tax is complex and stressful, not to mention costly, and it's not uncommon to feel overwhelmed. It's human nature to avoid things we're uncomfortable with and that we believe we can't master. Let me tell you right now, few people truly know sales and use tax accounting. It's not taught as part of accounting courses in college, and it's not part of the CPA exam. People who don't know it well will not want you to feel confident in questioning what they say or do, so they will throw around terms and talk in circles. Don't let them intimidate you. You want to be in control because you're accountable when it comes to sales tax. Sales tax really matters, so speak up. Did you know that you're accountable for the sales and use tax liability regardless of your accountant's guidance or actions? And if you dissolve your business, the sales tax debt follows you personally. Did you also know that if you collect sales tax from customers and don't remit the tax to the state, that's fraud? Spending sales tax collected on behalf of the state is theft. Taking control of sales and use tax gives you control of all sales and purchases. You know what's going on, you're doing checks and balances on reporting, and making educated decisions about your business based on better information. In addition, you're not overpaying tax out of fear, and you're not underpaying tax or making reporting errors to raise audit flags. Sales and use tax really is the backbone of your business. What if I told you that you don't need to become an expert to take control of sales and use tax? You don't. My goal today is not to teach you sales and use tax law. This is really important. To take control of your sales and use tax and best utilize your expert advisor, you need to be an informed consumer. Maybe you've heard that term before. I'm going to walk you through what it means and how to become an informed consumer of expert sales tax advice. And here's how I hope you'll feel at the end of this talk. So close your eyes and think about saying this to yourself. Now I know how to think about sales tax. I have more knowledge than before. It's knowledge that's relevant, and it's helped me to shape my opinions and attitudes. I know what questions to ask, and so I'm more likely to get useful answers. And I realize it's complicated, but I have a right to explanations. And because of all that, I'm in control. You can open your eyes. You're going to walk away from this talk today with confidence, and that's great. Not just for you, but for your business. So what does it mean to be an informed consumer of expertise? And why don't you need to be an expert? In your business, you deal with a variety of experts on a day-to-day basis. Your attorney, your accountant, maybe your IT. They provide expertise, and you're a consumer. You're a consumer of their expertise. And you ought to be an informed consumer of their expertise. To get to that point, I want to show you two kinds of things. The first is a framework to put things in, the big picture of how all this fits together, kind of like pieces of a puzzle. So if you understand the big picture, you can see how each piece of that puzzle fits when it's complete. And I can provide that framework in describing how working with an expert should work and what that looks like in my services. The framework will contain the principles that make up being an informed consumer. And then here's the second thing. What does it mean to be an informed consumer of expertise? What does it help you to do when an expert tells you something or gives you advice or makes a recommendation for you to follow? So it helps you to do three things. It helps you assess the expertise, it helps you to challenge the recommendation, and it helps you apply the principles to your own situation. Well, let me explain each of these phrases. First, you're going to assess the expertise. How do you assess what an expert tells you? To assess means to judge or to evaluate. Well, to do that, you need to understand what are the main messages that the expert is giving you. So if you don't understand the main conclusions of the expert, say so. And make sure they get explained to you in a way you understand. So most people are happy to pass on information they've overheard, but without being an expert, it's quite possible the information has a different and critical twist on it. Have you ever played the telephone game? Sales tax is very fact-specific to begin with. If someone doesn't repeat the information 100% accurately, the meaning can be changed completely. Experts are quick to respond because they don't need to research or check with others. They already know the answer. They love to be asked about their expertise, call it a touch of pride, or being valued. They will often go on to share other useful information you may not have been aware of. And only an expert will be able to back up the answer with solid evidence and reasoning, and can show further, more in-depth questioning. To validate their answer, an expert will often inquire as to reason behind your question, and often add further useful information. An expert can apply the information to real-life situations and examples to help you understand. How do you challenge an expert? Well, this is where being informed is important. You need to understand the principles that are behind the recommendation. And that's the point I hope to get to you. So when you see recommendations, make sure you understand the principles on which they're based. Make sure you get the expert to identify those principles. Also make sure you're told about any research that underlies the recommendation. Where does the research come from? Where's the evidence? What's the date of the research? You've heard the saying, the devil's in the detail. No one's better placed to understand the importance of the detail provided in an answer more than the expert. As the custodian of the knowledge, they will frequently complement an answer with insightful notes of caution. They're also very careful to ensure the question is answered accurately. Knowledge is not a fixed thing. It soon becomes out of date and replaced with later knowledge and information, especially sales tax law. The person who's most likely to know is the expert. Anyone else could give you old answers. And finally, I said, you ought to be able to see how the advice actually applies to your situation. In fact, that's the area in which you're the expert. You know your own situation better than the expert does. To make the expert's advice as good as it can be, you need to be able to convey the elements that define your situation to the expert. That way, the experience can be tailored to fit you, rather than just being general tax treatment. An expert will also help you to ask better, more relevant questions in order to find the real answer you need by asking questions of their own. Where necessary, an expert will also be happy to point you to relevant materials and other experts. All of this should make you realize how much better you know your business than the expert does. And I hope this realization will give you the courage to challenge the expert's advice, something you might otherwise be afraid to do. Because after all, they're the expert, right? And what do you know? You know your business. That's the answer. And so raise the issue with any expert whose advice doesn't make you comfortable. You're not doing the work, but you're checking the answer. And that's the key. You have a right to understand what your tax expert is telling you. You're in control. And when you identify a true expert and are an informed consumer, quite simply, receiving an answer to your question from an expert saves you time, money, and stress. Among the many reasons, they're happy to respond, quick to deliver, won't waste your time with wrong information, or send you down the wrong path, and they ensure you have what you need to do your job better. What's clear? Informed consumers will be those who can effectively capitalize on their most valuable resource, knowledge, and effectively connect questions directly with experts. When I founded my company, Sales Tax Advisory Network, I knew I wanted to help businesses who were not receiving the sales tax guidance they needed, either because they couldn't afford a big CPA firm or because the accountant they hired was not proficient in sales tax law and was not upfront about that fact. I've heard the motto, fake it until you make it, and that's not what you want from any professional providing you guidance. To address everything a business needs to take control of their sales and use taxes without having to become the expert, I created the Sales Tax Audit Protection Plan. This is a 12-month contract, so we have time to work together to ensure you have the support you need to get your business in full compliance. Hey, sales tax is complex. Businesses often have seasons, so this gives us time to work together through every scenario you may encounter throughout the year, with my full expertise and support at your disposal. That sounds expensive, right? Most accountants charge by the hour, but not a real expert. Compliance is always less expensive than audit, so my goal is to help business and clients with compliance to avoid audit. My Sales Tax Audit Protection Plan is a flat monthly fee at a price intended to work for small businesses and be reasonable so that my service can complement your regular accountant. Included in the Sales Tax Audit Protection Plan is an initial on-site consultation, or what I call a half-day mini audit. It is filled with learning about your business and hands-on sales tax training tailored to your business. Other support provided as part of the Audit Protection Plan includes unlimited sales tax advisory support, additional training, webinars, access to my sales tax reference book electronically, and Wisconsin Audit Defense Services, should you be audited, while under contract and your accounts in good standing. Yes, the plan includes audit defense at no additional cost, the same monthly fee. What my clients love about my services is that I adapt to their business. My service is not cookie cutter. I take their current process and tweak it to be compliant with sales tax regulations and audit requirements. Ask about our multi-state sales tax protection plan. Rarely are businesses operating solely in Wisconsin. Benefit from my sales and use tax advisory services in the other 49 states. Audit defense services not included outside of Wisconsin. I keep current and involved with legislative activity and the Department of Revenue through my leadership in the Wisconsin Institute of CPAs. I use my role and experience to advocate for businesses to improve audit and sales tax policy in Wisconsin. My passion for sales tax makes creating informed consumers a bedrock principle of my Sales Tax Audit Protection Plan. I encourage you to assess my expertise, to challenge my recommendations, and apply sales tax regulations to your business. You are an informed consumer. You can take control of your sales and use taxes. Contact me at salestaxlady.com to get the Sales Tax Audit Protection Plan. Don't wait for an audit to find out you were not dealing with an expert.